Asahi Ikaba was a weak young man who always needed the protection of his obsessed sister. But after a transport sent him to a fantasy world, his sister took her own life to be with him again in her next existence, although she ended up becoming the most powerful hero who wanted to enjoy his special company. Everything began one morning when Asahi tried to be a hero and save someone from dying by a heavy transport, but he ended up taking the hit directly. He woke up in the spiritual world where he watched his own passing and felt relieved that the person he saved was okay. He felt discouraged because he would not get to play the new Elden Ring update and wondered if the new world he would be reborn in would have video games. When he started to worry about how his clingy sister would react to the news of his departure, a portal appeared and transported him to a cliff in a fantasy city. Asahi was thrilled about being transported and was happy to see that the town looked very much like the ones he had found in his favorite video games. He tried to take a photo to upload it to the web, but he realized there was no service in the area, which meant he could not contact anyone for help, despite being broke and unfamiliar with his surroundings. However, he was confident that he could navigate this new world with ease because he had seen every animation of this genre in history. He soon arrived at a pawn shop where the shopkeeper appraised his phone and offered to pay a good sum for it. Asahi was glad to hear this and asked the merchant about the weapons in his shop. Minutes later, Asahi was fully dressed in fantasy clothes, but he was more excited about the fact that he had a sword, so he jumped around like a distracted monkey while posing with it. Afterward, he went to the Adventurers Guild in search of a mission, and the cute receptionist named Tanya could not help but tease him. After hearing it was his first time, she decided to show him everything he did not know and started by giving him a guild registration form to fill out his data. When he finished the form, she recommended a simple task of hunting killer rabbits as his first mission, since they were rank E monsters that even an infant could beat. Leaving the guild, he was sure he would have a field day with that mission, but unfortunately he ran into a huge wyvern as soon as he left the town. The wyvern wasted no time before trying to roast him with flame attacks, and he ran desperately for his life while wondering what kind of world he had been put in. He hid behind a giant rock and tried to plan a strategy by checking his status bar, but he realized his stats were lower than a background character. When the dragon started to attack him again, he tried to use his special skill, which is rock throwing, but he found it was even more useless than his human abilities. Eventually, the dragon had him cornered, and all he could think about as it approached was his sister Maya Ikaba. When he shouted her name out loud, a huge magic circle appeared around him and Maya appeared in front of him wearing her school uniform, which relieved him. The dragon fired several flame attacks at Maya, but she dodged them easily while noticing how light her body felt in this fantasy world, as well as all the powerful skills flowing in her body as she landed on the ground. She was excited that she could protect her brother with her powers, and she did so just as the dragon attacked again by defeating it with a single powerful blow. Asahi wondered if it really was Maya who was with him in this fantasy world, and she cleared his doubts by showing her strong sibling affection. When he asked her how she got to that world, she revealed she took her own life to be with him after hearing him talk unconsciously about traveling to another world. After a short chat, they decided to go back together to their original world, but they realized they had no idea how to do it, which made Asahi desperate. Elsewhere, three muscular orcs called the Three Orc Brothers defeated all the guards of a village and started boasting about their victory until Asahi entered the area. He warned them they would regret it if they attacked him, but the orcs had less intelligence than all your previous partners combined, so they got angry and charged at him. The oldest orc brother leading the charge was immediately pierced by a sharp pile of earth that formed in front of Asahi before his older sister Maya made a dramatic entry and scorched another orc to ashes. The third orc was about to run for his life, but Maya landed in front of him, causing him to be terrified because he knew he was about to join his brothers in the underworld. The orc begged for his life, but Maya did not hesitate as she vaporized him with a single attack and stated that orcs deserved an even crueler fate for calling her beloved brother a weakling. She noticed Asahi had hurt his chin during the battle, so she tried to heal him in very affectionate ways until a group of villagers appeared and began to praise Asahi for saving their land. Sometime later, the guild receptionist named Tanya told Asahi that he had climbed several ranks at record speed and gave him a badge to signify his new rank. She explained the badge is like an ID for adventurers in the royal capital, which meant he could not sell it to anyone else. Tanya also informed him that it was a serious crime to forge ranks by pretending to be stronger, and he immediately felt plagued by a guilty conscience. Afterward, he had to beg Maya to hide her strength and make it look like he was the strong one, to which she agreed. When he checked her stats, he realized every skill she had was at max level, and this made him jealous. They agreed to keep her status a secret between them for protection. Asahi saw a group of adventurers being celebrated, and the merchant from before revealed they were the strongest group called Clan Balmung, who were heading to face the Demon King. Maya said she would like to defeat the Demon King herself, but the merchant said she would need to gain experience and mentioned how the leader of Clan Balmung, named Siegfried, was a dragon-class adventurer, which was one level below the highest class. At that moment, a drunk adventurer named Delvin started attacking people at random, so people begged Asahi to save them. Delvin called Asahi a useless brat, which upset Maya so much she started started thinking of the most brutal ways to end him. At that moment, Asahi came up with a plan that consisted of provoking Delvin to attack him, using insults and scaring him using Maya's powerful magic, which he pretended to be casting himself. Later that night, Maya interrupted Asahi's celebrations by reminding him of his promise to give her whatever she wanted for helping him, and proceeded to perform very affectionate acts with him. Several days later, they went on a slime hunt, and the young man finally managed to defeat a slime, which put him at level 1, while Maya used a giant flame spell to eliminate nearly 1,000,000 slimes at once, which raised her level to 6 figures. Elsewhere, Siegfried was on his knees in front of a powerful demon named Kilmaria, who had wiped out his entire group, and he wondered how they were treated as mere nuisances despite all their achievements. He asked the demon her name, but she did not give him a direct answer while introducing herself as someone superior to any known warrior. He became enraged and tried to attack her, but she stopped him using a dark magic spell that left him unconscious, and wondered where she could find a brave warrior who could match her. Meanwhile, Asahi noticed Maya was cold, so he used his clothes to warm her, and she took things to the extreme by treating him like her own personal cushion in a very caring way. The next day, Asahi decided to stop depending on his sister and go on a mission on his own. Maya noticed Asahi was not home and found a note he left stating he had gone for a walk, so she decided to play with everything in his room that had his scent. Asahi met with Tanya and asked her for a suitable mission for him, so she recommended several that matched his current class, including hunting trolls and stealing a wyvern's egg. But the young man got scared because he knew there was no way he could handle such missions alone, and since he did not want to worry Maya by getting home late, he asked for an easy one. When she said there were only lower-level tasks around her city, he made up a lie about how he did not want to forget his first days as an adventurer. So she praised him and gave him an easy task that consisted of collecting rainbow mushrooms in a place called Claudio Forest. When he arrived at Claudio Forest, it did not take long before he found a bunch of rainbow mushrooms, and just as he started to think the mission would be very simple, he saw a sign indicating a dangerous bear was in the area. Even with that, he felt safe because he thought the bear would rarely be in the area, but the beast proved him wrong by jumping out and starting to chase him. Knowing Maya was not around to help him as usual, Asahi tried to fight for himself by throwing one of the mushrooms at the bear, but it ate the mushroom like it was a treat. When the beast started to attack him again, a bolt of dark magic pushed it away, and the impact pushed Asahi through the ground until he landed on some very soft physical features. Given the magnitude of the attack and the softness of that beauty, Asahi assumed it was Maya who made the rescue, so he started saying loving words of gratitude toward her. However, once he heard Kilmaria's voice and saw her demonic features, he immediately moved away from her in fear. He apologized for clinging to her, but she was very pleased by the fact that he accidentally referred to her as his sister. Their little bonding time was interrupted when a whole horde of bears surrounded them, so Kilmaria threw him into the air and destroyed the bears with magic blasts before catching him. Asahi was shocked by her power level, and she thanked him for being the perfect bait for her little training exercise. They were interrupted again when the final boss of the bears appeared, and Asahi was stunned by the fact that it wore battle gear and spoke like regular humans. Kilmaria introduced the bear as the guardian of Claudio Forest, named Kaiser Bear, and the bear itself recognized her as a dangerous demon who loved hunting other demons to test her strength. Asahi knew he could gain some experience if he managed to land even a single blow on the bear, but when Kaiser charged a flame attack, all he could think about was how he was about to pass away. Kilmaria immediately held Asahi in a way that allowed him to hold on to her charms, while she created a magic barrier that blocked Kaiser's fire attack, which made him ask why she saved him, to which Kilmaria responded that she was just trying to be a good big sister to him. Kilmaria decided it was her turn to attack, so she teleported over Kaiser and created a giant sphere of dark flame magic with which she annihilated him. Asahi tried to flee when she asked for the almighty Asahi, and noticed she was as powerful as Maya. He realized she was as powerful as his sister. He asked who she was, so she introduced herself as one of the 6 generals of the Demon King. Asahi's brain was about to collapse, but she calmed him by assuring him she was not looking for weaklings like him. Asahi tried to flee when she asked for the almighty Asahi, whom she had heard was a powerful adventurer, but his ID fell out, and she discovered he was the one she had heard about. Asahi tried to flee when he realized she had only heard of him. She started chasing him in an attempt to have a battle with him until she was blocked by a bit of earth magic that was cast by Maya. Asahi was glad his sister came for him, but Kilmaria interrupted their little moment by asking about the spell that stopped her. Maya began to accuse Kilmaria of doing all kinds of forbidden games with her brother, while they started arguing before charging each other with full force. Their fists collided with such force that they destroyed the surrounding earth and pushed Asahi toward the forest, but both were surprised by the fact that their opponents survived their usual one-hit moves. Kilmaria quickly realized Maya was the one truly responsible for Asahi's achievements, and they attacked each other several more times until Maya crushed Kilmaria against the ground. Kilmaria got so excited she fired her ultimate dark flame spell at Maya, but Maya countered it using a cyclone attack that dismantled the attack as well as Kilmaria. After Maya introduced herself to her, Gloria begged her to end her, and she was about to comply before Asahi stopped her. Several days later, Asahi was being chased by a goblin during a mission, and his attempt to defeat it, using his rock-throwing skill, failed miserably. When the goblin called some of its friends to join him in terrorizing Asahi, Maya appeared and scorched them all at once using a massive flame magic spell. He scolded her for coming to save him despite his request to stay still, and she replied she did it because he was outnumbered. A few hours later, Asahi celebrated the fact he finally reached level 10, but Maya was disappointed because it showed that none of the experience points from the millions of monsters she had defeated during their journey so far went to him. Asahi informed her he could only gain experience by dealing damage to the monsters himself and started giving technical explanations for several minutes trying to defend his lack of power. Maya then had a brilliant idea which consisted of her holding the monsters in place while he attacked them repeatedly to gain points. But Asahi said he could not do it because it amounted to abuse. An idea appeared in Maya's head, again, as she posed the idea of him attacking her instead of the monsters so he could gain a lot of experience from a powerful target. But Asahi replied he could never hurt her, and this made her so happy she started playing with him again. Then he started preaching about how leveling up slowly would be more fun than finding a trick. So Maya mentioned the fact that he did not have to get stronger because she could easily defeat all his opponents with one hit. This felt like a dagger in Asahi's heart, but he realized he needed to change his skill to get stronger. Maya started distracting him again with her peculiar requests until he activated the new skill he had in his arsenal, which allowed him to progress. He explained it was a sneaking skill called evasion and stated he would use it to avoid all of Maya's affectionate advances toward him. Unfortunately, Maya was more relentless than he thought because she pounced on him once more and his efforts to use the evasion skill failed due to lack of magic energy. Some hours later, Asahi explored the idea of forming a party with someone else, and his mind went directly toward the evasion skill. That getaway technique called evasion he would use to avoid all of Maya's peculiar games toward him. Unfortunately, Maya was more relentless than he thought because she pounced on him once more, and his efforts to use the evasion skill failed for lack of energy. Some hours later, Asahi explored the idea of forming a party with someone else, and his mind immediately got lost in fantasies about all the incredible adventures he could have with a normal group of transported people. Tanya interrupted his brainstorming by informing him there were no party slots currently open for him and asking if he had been working alone all this time. Asahi told her he had been adventuring with his sister, which led her to believe he was the main fighter while Maya was his support. Then he told her how he could form a party with anyone of his choice and mentioned Siegfried's group as an example of a perfect team. She revealed the group's defender named Gordon was excellent at defense while their sorceress named Mimosa excelled in every form of magic. The group also has an elf archer named Shulain for long-range attacks while Siegfried engages in close combat. Asahi asked how their mission to defeat the Demon King went, so Tanya revealed they were nearly wiped out by a mysterious demon on the way, which made them retreat. Afterward, Asahi walked through the city where he saw a thin drunk man being bullied by some adventurers and tried to stay out of it until they pulled their sword in an attempt to hurt him. Asahi stopped them by throwing stones at their heads, urging the man to escape while he had them busy. They pulled their sword in an attempt to hurt him. Asahi stopped them by throwing stones at their heads, urging the man to escape while he had them busy. However, the man stopped the thugs before attacking Asahi using ninja moves that other warriors would only dream of performing, and defeated the leader using a brutal blow. Asahi was amazed by the man's skills until he started vomiting on the ground. When Asahi approached to help him, he was stunned to realize this drunken master was actually Siegfried. Asahi asked if it really was the almighty dragon-class knight the city used to praise, and Siegfried replied his current state made him nothing more than a bum. He narrated how his entire group was humbled on the battlefield by Gloria, who did not even fight them seriously, and stated those events broke him so much he became a drunken loser. Siegfried began to lose his mind over his past trauma, so Asahi tried to calm him by reminding him he was part of a perfect group that had tons of fun adventures. Siegfried stated the world did not work that way, and explained his group members were all useless in different ways before revealing they split up after their failed attempt against the Demon King. When Asahi went back to the guild hall, Tanya told him about an urgent mission involving a horde of wyverns attacking a settlement outside of town. He tried to suggest going back for Maya, but she said there was no time for that while putting him on a transport wagon heading to the area. When the wyverns tried to attack Asahi, they were vaporized by a magic blast, which was fired by Gloria. He thanked her for saving him, and they had a friendly chat until she returned his adventurer badge, which he had lost during their last encounter. They were interrupted when more wyverns appeared, but Maya destroyed them with a lightning spell and ignored Gloria's request for a rematch while going to see how Asahi was. The two ladies started arguing over Asahi, but Maya still refused to have a rematch with Gloria until she playfully took Asahi hostage. Maya entered a state of fury while creating a mountain over Gloria's head with a brutal blow, which made the two ladies start arguing again. That moment, a wyvern appeared and kidnapped Asahi, so the two ladies worked together to destroy it and save him. Asahi was happy to see both ladies getting along, and everyone had a cheerful conversation together until Gloria left and Maya started acting peculiar again. A few days later, Asahi passed by the guild hall with a suspicious look, and Tanya immediately realized he had run out of money for lodging again. Asahi begged for a mission with a large reward and spoke about his need for a base of operations. So Tanya mentioned a high-profile mission, whose reward was a house. Asahi was more than happy to accept the job until she revealed the mission was to exorcise an evil spirit. On the way, accompanied by Maya, she seemed happy about the fact they were getting a house as a reward for the mission, but Asahi was terrified because he had heard many expert adventurers had tried and failed that mission beforehand. Maya mentioned their past days when Asahi used to be so terrified of horror video games that she needed to pet him to sleep, and he was determined to prove he had grown, but a single thunder made him get too scared. She comforted him, saying she already knew he was afraid of ghosts, so he clung to her as they moved forward. Eventually, they reached the haunted house and Asahi tried to open the door, but was stopped by a mysterious force that told them to leave. Asahi realized it was an energy drain monster, as it manifested in the form of a blue aura with eyes and threatened to absorb them completely. However, when Maya tried to open the door, the monster absorbed so much energy it exploded, which allowed her to open the door. When they entered, she noticed the house was really nice and furnished despite how dusty it was, and her mind immediately went toward peculiar desires as she began to think about all the moments they could enjoy there. Asahi asked Maya if she was afraid of anything in an attempt to one day exploit her weakness, but she replied the only thing she feared was their intimate union. They began to look for the ghost, and everything seemed fine until a chair floated from its position and hit Asahi in the face. Maya healed him using a potion, but the poltergeist's skill activated again and attacked Asahi using plates this time. She healed him using a potion again, and this time the ghost attacked using a soft pillow, but his sister still rushed to use her last healing potion on him. Maya ordered the spirit to face them directly, so it manifested as a ghost with a dark aura, which scared Asahi so much he clung tightly to Maya. The ghost fired a dark blast toward them, but Maya dissipated it with just a word from her mouth. She told the demon how she would face it, causing Asahi to get scared, thinking the building would be destroyed by her powers, which would leave them in debt. The ghost felt Maya's immense power and knew it rivaled that of the Demon King's generals, so it decided to take over her body. After a bit of a struggle, the ghost completely possessed Maya and boasted about having gained a very powerful body. Asahi realized the whole world would be lost if the ghost acted without control using Maya's powers, so he was determined to save Maya by any means necessary. As the possessed Maya marched toward Asahi, he panicked for minutes before gathering enough resolve to stand up and use his persuasion technique on her. Just as his words were about to reach Maya, Gloria appeared and started mocking them. Asahi explained what was happening, so she started talking bad about Maya before threatening her with a battle. Asahi jumped in to stop Gloria from bringing down the building using her dark magic, but ended up landing in a compromising position on top of her. He begged her not to fight a serious battle inside the building and got scared when he realized his hands were touching her attributes. She accused him of being a naughty boy, and Asahi noticed the specter's power was overflowing. Gloria decided to settle things using an arm wrestling duel and explained to a confused Asahi that beating the ghost in a strength contest would make it lose confidence, which would allow him to expel it from Maya's body. Soon, the strength contest began, and Asahi feared the house might be destroyed due to how intensely their auras were colliding. The two ladies eventually went to their max power, and the possessed Maya ended up winning the contest. She immediately pinned Asahi to the ground, and out of desperation, Asahi shouted he would never let a pathetic ghost take away his precious sister, and immediately his words pierced her soul and sent the ghost out of her body. Shortly after, Maya confessed she really was not being controlled by the ghost because she was more powerful than him, and mentioned the fact that Gloria noticed this during their strength duel. Hours later, they redesigned the formerly haunted house and were very happy about the fact that it was now their own home. A couple of days later, Asahi and Maya went to a dungeon where a rolling rock tried to destroy them. Asahi tried to escape using a secret passage, but Maya decided to show her power as she destroyed the rock with a single kick and asked Asahi to move forward with her. Earlier, Tanya told Asahi about a mission that consisted of exploring a newly found dungeon in the city ruins, and when he asked why the dungeon was not previously discovered, she explained that the landscape of that area had been altered due to a huge magic battle between two powerful beings, and Asahi immediately realized it was the result of the battle between Maya and Gloria. When Tanya called Asahi a hero, he got very excited and instantly agreed to perform the mission. On his way to the dungeon, a terrifying beast started stalking him, but Maya scared it away before it could attack. He soon arrived at the entrance of the dungeon, fully determined to complete the mission by himself and become a true hero. But those hopes died when Maya appeared. Back to the present time, Maya spoke about ghosts that would possibly appear in the dungeons, and he tried to act like a brave soldier until Maya scared him using a demon skull as a mask. Maya asked him what a dungeon was, so he used his gamer knowledge as he explained the whole concept concept of dungeons and monsters to her. He spoke to her about something called the left-hand rule, which implied they had to keep their left hand on the dungeon wall to reach the end of it. Unfortunately, his left hand activated a trap, but Maya was fast enough to destroy a flying arrow that would have hurt him. Asahi tried to regain control of the situation, but ended up activating a floor trap that sent Maya into a spike pit, but she just casually maneuvered like a professional adventurer. Maya tried to destroy them using a magic blast, but Asahi decided to stop her, which made them land in a very close position. Maya began to suggest they take the opportunity to be together, but Asahi changed the subject while warning her that using her magic in a dungeon could cause a collapse that would leave them trapped. When the skeleton knights approached them, Asahi tried to defeat them using his rock-throwing skill, but one of them hit the stone like it was baseball. Maya defeated all the skeleton knights using some incredible combat skills, and Asahi realized his sister was still overwhelmingly powerful when she did not use magic. Eventually, they reached the deepest part of the dungeon where they noticed an empty throne, which hinted that the labyrinth master was not present. Asahi was relieved they would not have to fight a dungeon boss, since all they saw were some small and cute bears in the area. He wondered if they were part of Kaiser Bear's family, but was completely enchanted by them. So he was worried that opening the dungeon might allow other adventurers to enter and defeat them. Maya asked what they should do, and Asahi said it was better that they returned because the dungeon was so unstable it could collapse at any moment. She realized it was just a story he was making up to protect the bears, so she smiled and agreed with his plan. When they got outside the dungeon, Maya started trying to recreate some peculiar games with him again, but he told her they did not have time for joking because he was hungry. Hearing this, Maya jumped into the bushes to look for something for him, and it did not take long before Asahi was surrounded by monsters. Asahi managed to get away from them using his evasion skill and another skill called Full Run, and in the nearby town he met a mysterious lady who asked him for directions. Asahi was captivated by her beauty, but when she approached him, he felt her strange aura and used his evasion skill to jump away from her. He gripped his sword with the full intention of defending himself on his own, but she started laughing at him and mocking him with a voice that sounded very familiar to him. She asked him to show her the town, and he took her to the market square, where she saw a group of villagers dancing and singing. She was amazed by the beauty of the town and the warmth of the people. She asked him to show her the town, and he hesitated until she revealed that meeting him and his sister made her develop curiosity about the human way of life. Gloria had a good time as they toured the town until they reached a bell tower, where she asked him to become a demon. She said becoming a demon was great because he would be powerful, but Asahi said he could not leave Maya because she was his family. A while later, Asahi told Tanya the story about the dungeon he made up, but she seemed very upset about the fact that Gloria was clinging to him, so she angrily gave him his money and sent him away. Outside the guild hall, he rebuked Gloria for her actions, but she changed the subject by asking him to go eat something with her. They went to a local restaurant where they feasted on a 7-star meal, and after a couple of dishes, Asahi began to worry they would be in trouble if people discovered a Demon King general was in the building. Gloria got drunk and tried to leave without paying, and Asahi managed to prevent her from destroying the chef when he asked for his money. Afterward, Asahi's wallet was as empty as his head, so he rebuked Gloria once more for being irresponsible. Siegfried appeared and shook Gloria's hand during his introduction, but felt her ominous aura which made him jump away from her. He asked who she was, and Asahi managed to cover for her by calling her a friend, so she cheerfully suggested they go back to her place for more drinks. Asahi and Maya tried to play a prank on Maya by having her pose as his girlfriend, but Maya saw through their deceptions as she hit Gloria right on the head. Maya had prepared a feast for them, but Asahi was worried since he had just filled up during his time away with Gloria. Catching this, Gloria used a bit of magic to make him hungry again, so everyone had a fun time as they enjoyed dinner together. Elsewhere, a girl named Sophie received a staff from her mother who told her one day she would meet a hero whom she needed to serve to save the world. When she asked her mother what kind of person the hero was, she replied he would be someone strong, kind, and humble. At that moment, Asahi was fighting a wolf and managed to defeat it with a single blow of his blade. Maya, who was watching from the bushes, was happy, but not for long as a giant wolf monster appeared behind him and tried to crush him. Fortunately, she arrived just in time to save him using an earth manipulation spell to send the monster deep into the ground. Asahi felt discouraged by the power difference between him and Maya and wondered why he did not have some heroic awakening that would make him the next great warrior. Maya noticed he was hurt, so she tried to heal him using her peculiar tactics again, but he managed to move away from her using his evasion skill to flee to the town. Suddenly, he bumped into Sophie, and when he helped her up, she noticed some similarities between him and the hero her mother described for her. She noticed he was hurt and used a special healing spell to fix him, and introduced herself as a healer before her group called the Black Brigade called her to join them on a raid. After she left, Maya appeared and noticed Asahi's wound had been completely healed. He quickly explained how he found a healer, stating they were useful for adventure groups, but she claimed she could satisfy those needs on her own through her suspicious healing techniques. Hours later, they arrived at the guild hall where Tanya sent them on a mission to go rescue a group that had not yet returned from their dungeon raid. She explained there was a problem in a dungeon that was at the foot of the mountain, and the monsters were so powerful that every group that went would retreat except the one she needed them to go save. When she said it was the Black Brigade, Asahi realized it was the same guild Sophie was a part of. Meanwhile, Sophie was running from a giant plant monster that had treated all her guildmates like snacks and eventually caught up with her, so she screamed for a hero to come save her. Luckily, Asahi arrived just in time and cut the monster's tentacles before jumping to save her. Several other plant monsters appeared behind Asahi while he checked on her, so Maya used a powerful attack spell to destroy them all. Sophie woke up outside the dungeon and saw her guildmates alive but soaked in monster fluid, but she was more excited about the fact she had found the hero she was destined to serve. Later, Asahi and Maya were having dinner at a bar, where she asked why he did not stay to get a reward for saving the adventurers. Asahi said it was because everyone was dirty thanks to the smelly monster juices, and he did not want the cute healer to see him in such a state. Maya started teasing him again until Sophie's staff landed between them, while she appeared with a smile on her face. She told Asahi she wanted to join his party and narrated how her mother told her to help the hero who would save the world. She spoke for minutes about how it was her dream to help him, and Asahi realized having a super cute healer like her around would be great for his team. When he told her about Maya, she ran to their table to greet her, and Asahi was afraid Maya would hit her, but they ended up bonding as good friends. At that moment, the other members of the Black Brigade appeared and accused Sophie of being the cause of their failure. Asahi thought she would be afraid of them, but suddenly she exploded and pointed out how each of them was a nuisance on the battlefield. She shouted some more insults at them before informing them she was leaving her group to join Asahi's, and her supposed hero was about to freak out when they tried to fight him. Sophie motivated Asahi to defeat them by himself, but he knew he would be in trouble if he tried. But luckily, Maya saved the day again by creating a smokescreen and knocking out the brigade losers in a way that convinced Sophie that Asahi was an almighty hero. Maya and Asahi then escaped outside the bar, where Asahi told his sister he did not want anything to do with Sophie because she was a troublemaker. The next day, Tanya tried to give Asahi a high-class mission, but he made up a silly story about how he preferred to level up through smaller tasks, so she gave him a mission to collect honey from the territory of a killer bee. He felt confident he would be able to do the mission alone this time because Maya was busy having a playful battle with Kilmeria in the forest. Tanya warned him the mission would be tricky without a healer by his side, but they were interrupted when Sophie arrived and asked to join him on the mission. During the quest, the killer bees were giving Asahi a hard time until Sophie used her healing magic on him, which allowed him to destroy the remaining bees in the area. After collecting the honey, Sophie asked Asahi why he was not showing the god-level strength he used when eliminating the plant monsters and the brigade, so he made up a lie that convinced her he was holding back for noble reasons. Sophie went out for a few minutes and returned with a giant bee monster behind her. As she and Asahi fled, she asked him to stop the monster, but he refused until she tripped over a tree branch and fell right in front of the monster. Asahi stood in front of her with the intention of saving her, but a giant stone pillar appeared and eliminated the monster. Sophie praised him for it, but when she left, he discovered the rock pillar was caused by Maya and Kilmaria's fight. The next morning, Asahi walked with Tanya to the guild hall, where they met Sophie, who had been waiting for him all night, and Asahi apologized for making her wait. During their past years, the Maui Dandiyad sibling duo was attacked by an angry dog, and Maya faced the animal head-on to protect Asahi, who was huddled in fear. The dog ended up being nice to her, and after its owner took it home, Maya noticed Asahi was crying over the fact that he could not do anything to protect her. In the present, Tanya sent Asahi and company on an emergency mission, which consisted of saving a remote village in the northwest of the city from the Demon King's monsters that were heading toward it. The monsters set fire to several buildings in the town and were determined to tear apart any human they found, so the townspeople had to hide in a nearby forest. A little girl asked the village chief about the adventurers, so he revealed they were fighting desperately to protect the village. A huge demon that looked like a green ogre smashed through a building and introduced himself as Stelepeth and claimed he served Giganto of the 100 Beasts, who was one of the 6 generals of the Demon King. He began to talk about how the village was going to be his stepping stone before Maya appeared and scorched him with a huge flame spell. Seeing Stelepeth being burned made the rest of the demons in the area so afraid that they ran for their lives. Asahi noticed some strange-looking monsters that were too slow to escape, so he decided to defeat them himself. Suddenly, the monsters started doing modern dances, and before Asahi could do anything, he was completely mesmerized. He began to act strangely affectionate toward Maya, and she loved it while following along with his game of devotion until he hit his head, which made him regain consciousness. He realized the cause of his sudden personality change was from the powers of the dancing demons, so he decided to defeat them once again, but Maya stopped him before he could do so. She aggressively motivated the demons to do their funny dance once more and made Asahi be the ultimate admirer again by forcing him to watch them. The two started acting affectionately again until Asahi's charm disarmed her so much she lost control, which caused him to hit his head and regain his senses. She forced the monsters to repeat the process several more times until they were completely exhausted and enjoyed the comfort of her hypnotized brother while while fantasizing about a world where the two of them got married. At that moment, a huge monster appeared and introduced himself as another servant of Giganto named Brandith. She was so upset by the monster's interference, she wanted to defeat it brutally, but Asahi ran in front of her and stated he would fight the villain himself. Brandith laughed and started talking bad about Asahi, so he used his rock-throwing skill on him, which had no effect at all. The demon bragged some more and prepared to destroy Asahi with a blow before being stopped by Maya, who incinerated him like he was trash. After the battle, Maya noticed Asahi was crying over the fact he was a weak coward, but she comforted him by saying he was a kind guy who always stepped in to save people who were in trouble. He wiped his tears and promised to protect Maya when he became strong, so she started teasing him again until a flying rock hit him right on the head. Maya tried to make the monsters do their dance again but realized her flame attack on Brandith had accidentally eliminated them as well. When Asahi woke up, he saw Maya trying to recreate the demonic dances, and that annoyed him instead of hypnotizing him. On their way back home, Maya started acting strange while mourning the loss of the devoted version of Asahi, so he comforted her by saying she was someone he always looked up to. Sometime later, Asahi visited the guild hall looking for Tanya, but other receptionists in the area informed him she was taking the day off. He was even more surprised when they said she was going on a date and wondered if she had a boyfriend while walking down the street. Suddenly, Tanya appeared in front of him wearing casual clothes instead of her usual uniform, and Asahi struggled to recognize her until she introduced herself again to him. He mentioned hearing she was on a date, so she called her little brother Roy, with whom she was spending the day. Asahi saw Roy was looking at his sword, so he offered him the chance to hold it for a while, but Roy hid behind Tanya, which made Asahi realize he was shy. He asked about Roy's interests, so Tanya told him how Roy loved hearing stories of adventurers. Asahi asked if he had heard of him, and Roy's eyes lit up as he mentioned all the nice things Tanya said about him at home, which made her feel so embarrassed she covered his mouth. Roy started praising him for defeating one of the 6 generals of the Demon King, but Asahi knew he was not the one who actually did it. So he changed the subject by asking why Tanya was in the area. She said she was going to make a special request in the next town and needed an escort. Roy suggested they take Asahi as an escort, and Tanya loved the idea, but Asahi was terrified because he knew he would be in trouble if they ran into any monsters on the way. He was even more afraid of the possibility they would hate him when they discovered he was a useless person, but when Roy asked him with a polite voice, he instantly agreed. On the way, Asahi asked Roy what he thought of the outside world, since he had not been out much, and Roy felt so uneasy by the question he hid his face in his sister's attributes. Their sweet moment was interrupted when a wyvern appeared and Asahi managed to save the siblings from its huge flame attack, which destroyed their carriage. Roy started crying, but Tanya comforted him saying their almighty hero Asahi would save the day, and Asahi worried even more about his fraud status being exposed. When he saw her comforting Roy some more, he thought about how Maya used to protect him, and this gave him enough courage to charge at the monster with his sword. He hit it, but noticed his attack did nothing, so he threw a rock in its mouth to prevent it from using a breath attack. The dragon still charged a massive blast, but before it could fire, it was annihilated by a magic attack. The siblings began to praise him until Roy started crying over being too weak to do anything. Asahi comforted him, saying he used to be like him, and motivated him to work hard to become stronger. Roy mentioned the fact they had lost their carriage, so they all agreed to walk back together and had a fun time doing so. The dragon tried to attack them again, but Maya appeared and destroyed it once more before expressing how happy she was. Her brother was acting so mature. Some days later, Asahi was walking down the street after an exhausting mission and was grateful Kilmaria and Maya were there to eliminate the dangerous monsters that attacked. Kilmaria asked if he had leveled up, and Asahi revealed he was now at level 20, which made both girls congratulate him. He also revealed a new skill called Light Magic. Level 1 had appeared in his skill tree, which meant he had an affinity for light. Maya was confused, so Kilmaria explained that magic energy in the world was divided into 8 types, which included fire, water, wind, earth, ice, lightning, light, and darkness. She said fire and darkness were her main affinities, and Asahi started boasting about how light was the affinity of many heroes in the animations he had seen, until an angry bull broke loose in the area. Asahi decided to take care of it himself and test his new skill in the process, but when he activated it dramatically, he realized the spell was just a flashlight. Asahi cried all the way home about how useless his new skill was, and Maya tried to comfort him by telling him it would help them a lot at home by saving the costs of getting a lantern. The trio reached their mission spot, which was to clear out the hideout of a criminal clan called Dark Crisis, and 2 of the criminals started bothering Asahi at the door, which made the girls defeat them with karate kicks. Asahi stopped them from playing with the thugs' unconscious bodies and reminded them of their main goal, which was to take down the clan that was misusing the adventurer system. These criminal clans forged adventurer rank badges and sold them to make a lot of money. When Tanya told Asahi about the fact that people who forged adventurer ranks were the worst, Asahi was crippled by guilt. She told him the mission was posted by a group of nobles and explained that forging records was a problem. problem for people of the elite class as well. Back in the present time, Asahi noticed the girls had already defeated the Dark Crisis members and said it did not even count as a warm-up for them. At that moment, the leader of the group named Lomert appeared, so Asahi introduced himself to him. Being an ogre-class adventurer, Lomert challenged Asahi to a fight, but Asahi decided to use his persuasion technique while telling him to use his powers to help people instead of committing petty crimes. Lomert complained about how the guild hoards the profits of their missions and charged a lightning attack to face them. Asahi and the girls prepared for battle as well, but they were interrupted when Sophie appeared with a group of people who wanted to see the supposed hero in action. Lomert tried to destroy Asahi with a lightning sword stroke, but he managed to move out of the way in time. He prepared another lightning attack, but Maya stopped him by breaking his sword in a single blow, which allowed Asahi to defeat him with a single sword attack. The people around cheered for Asahi, and when he thanked Maya for her help, she did not hesitate to pounce on him once more in front of everyone. At the same time, an expert adventurer named Quan was facing another criminal clan called Overdose, and after destroying all the thugs in the hideout, she was now facing the boss who was named Popinski. Popinski tried to attack her with his staff, but Quan's master named Gloria Brigantine appeared and blocked the attack with her sword. She introduced herself to him before defeating him using a powerful sword stroke she called Finishing Blow. Meanwhile, the villagers served Asahi a feast as a way of thanking him for his heroic efforts during the attack of the Orc brothers, and he felt Maya deserved the royal treatment he was receiving, but remembered how she told him to enjoy his life as the village hero. At that moment, the village elder approached and begged Asahi to help them once more because their village was facing another orc attack. He apologized for deceiving Asahi and confessed he did it because it would be expensive for them to ask for help through the guild. Then a random villager informed them the monsters had arrived, so Asahi went outside, where he came face to face with a huge demon who introduced himself as the brother of the three orcs who was determined to get revenge. The demon pushed Asahi against a tree when they clashed swords, and he panicked when he saw some villagers about to be attacked by some demons until Quan arrived and tore the demons apart. Asahi was surprised by the fact she wore a maid suit, but was even more stunned when she destroyed a group of other demons at incredible speed. Gloria Brigantine walked dramatically onto the scene and said she would suspend her goal of facing Asahi to prioritize saving the villagers from the demons. Asahi was surprised by the fact she was a noble-born swordswoman and wondered who these new powerful characters were. Gloria faced the giant orc monster, and it tried to land a massive blow that she dodged before using a ultimate move to split the demon in half. Asahi was amazed by her strength, but even more stunned when she accused him of being a fraud who leveled up dishonestly. She mentioned how he was running around the battlefield like a clueless monkey instead of defeating the demons and ordered him to confess his sins. They were interrupted when a villager named Anne threw a rock in her direction and said Asahi was a strong hero. Gloria became angry because she felt Asahi was deceiving people, so she challenged him to a duel. When they took their battle stances, Quan felt something unusual and managed to save Gloria from a devastating magic attack that shattered the area where she was standing. Gloria thought it was Asahi's work, but he was also confused, and things got strange when she saw her in an embarrassing position. She got so angry she challenged him to a duel in front of an arena to test his skills, and Maya, watching from afar, wondered how he would handle the situation. Asahi felt depressed discovering his future opponent Gloria was a golem-class adventurer, which was one level above his fake rank. He feared being defeated if he faced her directly, but Maya assured him she would back him up as usual. When it was time for the duel, Gloria spoke about how determined she was to test Asahi's skills, and he intended to fight with his own ability as much as he could. Kilmaria was afraid for Asahi, but Maya assured her she would be there to help him until they were interrupted by Quan, who discovered their secret plan. Gloria tried to land several brutal attacks on Asahi, but he dodged. While wondering why Maya had not done anything to help him yet, Kilmaria showed her dark aura in an attempt to hurt Quan, but Maya stopped her and assured her Asahi would exceed her expectations. Asahi dodged a couple more of Gloria's strong blows and wondered how he could defeat her until he noticed she was afraid her sudden movements would trigger the attack that almost ended her during their previous encounter. She tried to use her ultimate technique against him, but Asahi stopped her attack by distracting her using his light flash skill and was declared the winner of the duel. Gloria asked why he refused to attack her, and he replied he could not raise his sword against a girl. His words captivated her so much that she fled in shame. Several days later, Kilmaria was drunkenly bothering Asahi when Maya appeared and took her away from him. Maya put her in charge of cleaning the house while they went out for their mission, and she complained about how they were putting her through stressful work despite being a guest. Their quest was to find some golden flowers in the depths of a place called Twelkstay Plain, and on the way they met Sophie, who asked to join them on their mission. Maya noticed Asahi was not happy Sophie was tagging along, so she told him it would be better to have more people around for their dangerous mission. Sophie backed her statement, bragging about how she was excellent at finding things and tried to make a demonstration with her staff, but ended up looking distracted as it fell. When they reached the plain, they noticed the roads were split in two, so they faced the dilemma of which path path to follow. Maya suggested splitting into two groups, but Asahi declined her request to accompany him because he knew bad things always happened when she was around. He suggested Maya and Sophie follow one path while he explored the other alone, and Maya reluctantly agreed. Asahi felt relieved by the fact that he finally got some alone time during a mission until he was attacked by an armed goblin. When he drew his sword, several other goblins appeared in the area, which made him realize he was lost. However, a bolt of dark magic destroyed one of the goblins, and another goblin tried to attack him while he was baffled, but it randomly exploded before it could reach him. Gloria appeared then, which made him realize she was the one who saved him using her magic. He asked why she was there, and she replied she was just taking a drunken walk that led her to that area. Asahi realized the reason Maya let him follow a path on his own was because she felt Gloria's presence, and Gloria was stunned because she knew she hid her presence using magic. While following them, Asahi mentioned how Maya's hypersensitivity made her pounce on him every time she dreamed of him, and Gloria remembered the first time they met in the forest when Asahi mistook her for Maya. She said fighting used to be what she lived for, but noticed she had changed since meeting the siblings, and their little bonding session was interrupted when they heard a scream in the area. When they heard a couple more screams, Asahi ran to make the rescue but reached a village where everyone had already passed away. He saw a strange demon playing with the souls he had extracted from the villagers and challenged him to a battle. The soul demon summoned some skeleton knights to face him, and this made Asahi realize he was facing a necromancer. Asahi pierced through the skeleton knights, and this impressed the necromancer so much he decided to add him to his soul collection. When he tried to extract Asahi's soul, Gloria rushed in and blocked him with a magic shield that pushed him against a wall. The necromancer realized he was dealing with one of the 6 generals of the Demon King, so he immediately surrendered and confessed he worked for another of the generals named Woodvoss. He introduced himself as a mage named Mal and spoke about how he attacked the village for fun, which made Asahi so angry he called him worthless scum. Mal said Gloria was just as bad for trying to attack her own allies before suggesting they destroy every human in the royal capital using their powers. Asahi refused on her behalf and stated she was a good person who saved him multiple times. However, Mal did not care about Asahi's speeches as he went directly to Gloria to suggest they destroy Asahi and other humans in the capital. Gloria replied by calling him a disrespectful boor and scorched him to ashes using a huge flame attack. As the villagers' souls returned to their bodies, she assured Asahi the villagers would wake up in due time. He asked if she felt guilty about eliminating her ally, but Gloria said she did not care at all about the masked fellow and added she needed to look after Asahi like a big sister. Eventually, they met up with the rest of the group, and Asahi was glad to see Sophie had found the golden flower they were looking for. At the same time, Gloria was resting in bed, so Quan woke her up abruptly and dressed her for their mission. Gloria said she intended to go all out in her attacks during the mission and told Quan to be her support, to which she agreed. Meanwhile, Tanya congratulated Asahi on beating the necromancer, but he knew it was actually Gloria who defeated him. She said it was only a matter of time until he was promoted to Golem class and asked to have a party with him when they did. As Asahi walked through the town, he was worried the gap between his reputation and skill was growing until he met Gloria, who greeted him cheerfully. She started stuttering like a distracted girl when he said he could not forget her and got so bad she had to call Quan to her side while trying to talk to Asahi. Quan scolded her for failing despite their numerous rehearsals, and Asahi made things more complicated by accusing her of not letting go of her old suspicions about him. Gloria decided to play along, saying she would check his skills, and took him on a mission in a forest where several adventurers had gone missing. She explained the mission was originally for her and Quan, but she took Asahi there to test his skills. Quan pulled Gloria aside and reminded her of her original mission of taking Asahi on a date. She advised her to show Asahi her cute side by taking his hand, but when Gloria went to try, she ended up hurting Asahi's fingers with her brute force. Quan suggested several other ideas, but Gloria's strength made them all a very painful experience for Asahi instead of a romantic one. As they walked deeper into the forest, Asahi praised Quan for being able to handle such a peculiar master, and she also praised him for putting up with the crazy duo of Gloria and Maya. Eventually, they reached a place where fog made it hard to see, so Asahi used his flash skill to light their way. They saw the missing adventurers tied up by some vines and felt some vibrations in the area before a tree transformed into a monster. They realized the monster was responsible for the disappearances, so Quan went to save the adventurers while Gloria and Asahi faced the monster. Asahi was happy about the fact he was teaming up with Gloria, but she was captured by the monster when she started fantasizing about marrying him. Gloria struggled to get away from the monster, but noticed Asahi could see her beauty in the position she was being held. So she broke her bonds and cut the monster into pieces. When they returned to the village, Asahi said goodbye to them, and Gloria was frustrated because she did not enjoy her first date with him. So Quan comforted her, saying Asahi would never forget the sight of her white armor. Several days later, the first thing Asahi saw when he woke up in the morning was Quan, who said she was there to ask for help moving some things. Asahi helped her carry some heavy boxes outside her house, and she apologized for the the effort, but he said it was fine because he was being paid an incredible amount of money for a day's work. Apparently, the purpose of packing was to help Gloria escape her mansion and look for a home of her own. But when she appeared to leave with them, an old butler named Sebastian blocked her path and told her to stop the nonsense. She drew her sword in an attempt to fight the old man, but with a single hand move, Sebastian had her weapon wrapped in some special threads. He said he used to be an adventurer during his glory days, and Asahi was so impressed by his aura that he started praising him. However, that aura quickly faded when Gloria used her strength to pull his threads and throw him into a nearby pool. Sebastian climbed out of the pool and mentioned the fact Gloria's father wanted her to quit her adventure work and live an elite lifestyle. Gloria replied she was tired of all the tea parties and high society nonsense, so he begged Quan to stop her, but she replied she would remain loyal to Gloria. In their carriage, Gloria said she felt embarrassed by the fact Asahi saw her family drama, but he said it was fine because he knew his family was more complicated. They reached a huge building which Gloria said was their new base of operations, and Asahi was disappointed when he realized it was just one of her family's villas. They packed all the luggage inside and things got complicated when Asahi accidentally picked up an intimate piece of Gloria's clothing. Meanwhile, Sebastian watched them from a high place and told the dragon-class adventurer he was with that Asahi was deceiving the princess. He charged him with bringing the princess back, and the adventurer who was named Tiger was more than happy to comply. Unfortunately, Maya ruined their strategy meeting appearing behind them, and her threatening aura was enough to make them both flee the scene. At the villa, Gloria gave Asahi so much coffee his stomach felt like a drum, but she struggled to find a way to connect with him. So Quan suggested she ask him to live with her. Gloria's mind immediately went toward peculiar desires as she began to imagine them both engaging in bedroom games together. Therefore, Quan clarified she meant he should stay on as a worker. She went further to suggest Gloria form a clan that would use the mansion as its base, and Gloria loved the idea. So she proposed it to Asahi. Hours later, Asahi had lunch with Tanya, who told him the guild would be more than happy to help him form a clan. When Siegfried appeared, Tanya started blushing until he revealed he planned to fry some breadcrumbs for dinner, which left her disappointed in him. Afterward, Tanya and Asahi took a walk and she asked what he planned to call his new clan. He explained clans were important because many missions were only given to groups, but their conversation was interrupted when Sophie appeared and begged to join Asahi's clan. In an attempt to prove her worth to him, she opened her status bar, and Asahi was stunned to see she was at level 27. She revealed she leveled up going back and forth healing tons of people, and Asahi could not believe the chatterbox was actually great at her job. When she asked him to show his own status screen, Asahi made up a silly lie about how he preferred to show people his strength on the battlefield, and the two ladies praised him for it. Gloria appeared and greeted Asahi cheerfully, but marched away in a rage after noticing Sophie was clinging to him. Quan explained Gloria was an unsociable person who had no friends she could trust and begged him to consider forming a clan with them. That night, Asahi thought about how powerful a clan with the girls would be, but he realized he would be the only useless one on the team who was at risk of being exposed. When he told Maya about the clan thing, she said it was a good idea to have more allies on his side, so he asked her to make the decision while stating she was the protagonist of their current story. But Maya replied he was the protagonist and mentioned how he captivated all the powerful girls they had met so far on their journey. When he mentioned his lack of fighting ability, she said it did not matter because he was an incredible person, and this made Asahi cry. They moved forward with the plans to form a clan, but unfortunately Asahi was turned to stone by a lizard monster called a basilisk on their first mission together. The ladies rushed to find a solution for his current situation, but Asahi was more worried about how he was still conscious despite being a rock. Maya took advantage of Asahi's condition to have a lot of fun with him, and the rest of the girls could not find a way to turn him back to normal. After some thought, Maya had the idea of taking a bath together with his stone body, and they all agreed to do it. Asahi lost his mind at the sight of the huge attributes surrounding him in the bath and afterward. Maya tried to kiss him, but was interrupted by Kilmaria, who pushed her away from him. Maya explained she was trying to resolve Asahi's petrification, so Kilmaria used a spell called Total Heal, which returned him to normal. When she comforted Asahi, he revealed he was conscious the whole time he was petrified, and this made Maya feel very embarrassed. The next day, they met with Tanya, who was impressed by Asahi's clan. When she asked Asahi to pick a name, the girls brought up all kinds of strange suggestions, but Maya ended up filling out their registration form with the name Super Legion Asahi, which ended up being the name of their group. Tanya gave Asahi's clan their first official mission, which was to hunt a shark monster in a place called Lupercalia Beach, where several people had been hurt by the monster. Maya asked if a shark was as dangerous as the creatures they had faced so far, so Asahi went into expert mode as he explained how dangerous sharks were in all the low-quality movies he had seen. He also mentioned the fact they were in a fantasy world, which meant the shark would not be a regular ocean creature. Maya suggested they go alone because she wanted to do all kinds of peculiar things with Asahi at the beach, but the whole group appeared at the beach alongside them, including Tanya. Asahi whispered to Maya they could have invited Kilmaria since the whole group was there, and Maya replied Kilmaria was still sleeping soundly profoundly. Quan said she had some good and bad news to share with the group, and Asahi asked for the bad news first. So she revealed she and Gloria had already completed the mission before the rest of the team arrived. Asahi asked what the good news was, and she replied they now had the freedom to play as much as they wanted on the beach. She got swimsuits for everyone, and Asahi could not believe his eyes when he saw Sophie and Tanya putting on a traditional Japanese school swimsuit, which revealed their beauty in a nice way. The real surprise came when Maya appeared in her regular adventure clothes, which she noticed was made of swimsuit material, and Quan revealed she was the one who made it that way. Gloria appeared wearing a very nice swimsuit, and Asahi praised her looks, so she could not help but blush. It was all part of Quan's plan to keep Asahi's eyes fixed on Gloria, but that plan did not last long because Kilmaria appeared wearing the most revealing swimsuit imaginable. Maya immediately became violent with her for trying to snatch her brother, and the rest of the girls began to suffer from an inferiority complex, noticing how much Kilmaria's huge charms moved in her swimsuit. Quan decided to switch to Plan B, which consisted of a series of games where the winner would get a personal favor from Asahi, and all the girls were interested in using it to satisfy their naughty desires. They played numerous games together and had a lot of fun until it was announced the winner was Maya. Following Maya's request, Asahi applied some sunscreen to her back, but their fun time was interrupted when a group of shark monsters surrounded Tanya and Sophie in the water. The shark monsters each had a unique power and were determined to get revenge for their fallen brothers, but the girls used their powerful attacks to defeat them easily, and Asahi even managed to defeat one using his flash skill. Gloria and Quan eliminated a group of them using their own ultimate moves, but a surviving shark monster tried to attack Maya from behind. Asahi jumped in to protect her and ended up being hit by the monster's tail into the deep sea where Maya followed him. When he woke up, Maya hugged him and informed him they were washed away to a desert island. She was confident Kilmaria would find them eventually, so they decided to explore the area in the meantime. Maya used her powerful magic to cut some trees and turn them into firewood in record time, and also showed her skill when they tried to go fishing by catching a fish the size of Asahi. They built a house out of the wooden logs, and Maya served a delicious feast with the fish that they both enjoyed. Afterward, they rested next to each other outside, and Asahi said it was incredible they had made so many great friends despite arriving alone in the fantasy world. He asked Maya how she had been feeling since she arrived in the new world, and she said she was happy every day because she could spend time with him. She said he looked happy too. So Asahi told her about how he was afraid at first when he discovered he had no special skills, but was grateful to have her around to protect him. He said they would overcome every challenge they faced from now on with the help of the rest of their friends, and noticed he had a bit of a cold, so Maya tried to warm him up in peculiar ways. Their bonding time was interrupted when a huge black shark monster appeared and introduced himself as the Great Shark King. Before Maya could swing into action, the rest of the girls appeared and used several combined attacks to fight the Shark King. When they revealed they had been on the island for a while, Asahi was embarrassed because he realized they had heard his sentimental conversations with Maya. The Sea King revived the superpowered sharks they defeated earlier, and they all transformed into robot parts before joining together in a massive giant robot that looked like it was out of a fiction series. The giant shark robot tried to destroy them using a massive sword attack, but Maya annihilated it using the most incredible fire attack ever seen. Afterward, Maya and Kilmaria argued as usual while the rest of the girls were scared because they had seen firsthand how inhuman Maya was. Asahi worried about them, but Tanya comforted him saying everything was fine because they were all having fun. Some days later, Asahi, Kilmaria, and Maya were at home waiting for the rain to stop so they could go out and have some adventure. When the two ladies tried to get affectionate and kiss him, he used his evasion skill to flee, which made both of them kiss each other instead. When the rain finally stopped, they were excited as they left the house but noticed the area was flooded. Asahi took a step in the water and it strangely grabbed him while turning into a tentacle, so Maya used a wind spell to free him. The water attacked Asahi, again trying to suffocate him in a bubble, but he used his evasion skill to free himself from its clutches. They realized slimes had covered the whole village, and a merchant told people to move to higher ground to be safe from the slime attacks. Asahi ran toward the town and noticed Tanya was trapped by the slime in a very embarrassing way, so he saved her. Maya and Kilmaria appeared and asked for the situation, so Tanya revealed a similar incident to the one they were living through had happened a long time ago. It was called the Great Slime Flood because the creature was a legendary slime that got bigger by absorbing water. She also revealed the slime would not move unless it was commanded, so Asahi realized there was a villain behind the slime attacks. The powerful duo of Kilmaria and Maya decided to go look for the mastermind, and Asahi told Tanya to evacuate while he saved the townspeople. Tanya refused his order because she was worried about Roy, who had been missing for a while, so Asahi promised he would save Roy no matter what. He met with the powerful duo, and after hearing the crazy ideas they had, he decided to put them on hold for the time being. Tanya met with the merchant and they started evacuating together until the mastermind activated a spell that sent several demon bats toward them. However, the members of Clan Balmung appeared and destroyed all the bat monsters, as well as the portal they were coming coming from. In another part of the town, another portal opened and the large group of demons that came out of it started running wild all over town while the culprit admired her work from a high tower. Roy hid in a street corner with a hurt little girl to avoid the demons, and eventually, Asahi found them. Asahi told Roy to guide them to higher ground while he carried the hurt girl, but on their way, the slimes turned into two dragons and stood in their way. When a slime dragon attacked, Delvin appeared and eliminated it, but stated he only did it to gain some experience points. The second slime was lurking behind them, but was eliminated by the sword skills of Siegfried, who made a dramatic entry. When the slime monster regenerated, Siegfried told them it would keep regenerating unless he found and destroyed the core. So Asahi ran together with Roy and the girl in search of the beast's core. Tanya and the other evacuees reached the high point of the city, but the nobles living there refused to open their gates for them. Asahi reached a cathedral where he left the girl to be treated and saw Sophie pushing herself to the limit with her healing magic to make sure everyone was fine. She was so low on energy she almost passed out when she met him, but she still managed to heal the hurt little girl. Sophie saw her former Black Brigade comrades injured and healed them before belittling them once more. Asahi asked her to look after the kids while he went out to look for the core. Tanya and her group arrived outside Gloria's mansion where they were ambushed by a group of demons, and the mastermind laughed maniacally until the powerful duo appeared behind her. They exposed all her crimes, and Kilmaria identified her as the control witch named Gure. Gloria said she would take full responsibility for anything that happened and eventually let everyone into her villa while she and Quan went out to face the demons. When a beast tried to attack Tanya, from behind, Tiger appeared and tore it apart before bragging about how incredible he was. Meanwhile, Guri accused Kilmaria of betraying the Demon King and asked her to join her side, but Maya rejected the offer on her behalf. Gur became upset by the fact Maya answered for Kilmaria, so she launched a massive flame spell toward her. At the same time, Asahi met with Gloria and Quan, and they decided to split up and look for the slime's core. Quan used a skill that gave her a clear view of the whole city, and it did not take long before she found the core. Gur was surprised her attack did not even leave a mark on Maya, and Kilmaria responded by firing a massive flame blast of her own, which sent Gur flying through several castle walls. Maya finished her off using a ultimate move she called Big Sister Forever. Asahi, Gloria, and Quan tried to launch a combined attack on the core, but the slimes carried it to higher ground. So Asahi asked Gloria to launch him into the air. When she did, Asahi used his rock-throwing skill to destroy the core once and for all before falling into Maya's arms. It is questioned if Asahi will one day become as powerful as Maya, leaving that reflection to the viewer. That is all for today's summary. If you like summaries of this type, check out the content suggested here. If you like this fantasy world, share this content. Thank you for your time.